The half-drunk glass of lemonade in her hand grew warm as Arabella watched the other guests from a small alcove, nearly completely shrouded by a voluminous potted palm. She was sure the decorator meant it to be used by discreet young couples, but Arabella found it just as useful to get away from the uncomfortable stares and whispers. She watched partygoers swirl and laugh across marble floors. Brass and crystal chandeliers cast butter-soft candlelight over the merriment while a string quartet played in the background. The tall, arched windows all around the room appeared black as the interior light blinded everyone to the more gentle light of the moon and stars. Arabella sighed as she tugged the low neckline on her lavender satin evening gown. It didn't fit quite right, and the color was just ever so slightly off, the wrong contrast with her dark brown hair and pale blue eyes, but it was a hand-me-down from her mother, and tailoring could only do so much. Arabella may have found the party more exciting and not torturous at all if she had not thought of herself as barren, completely devoid of magic. If she could just perform a simple scrying spell, if she could send or receive a thought, she might not feel like an outcast. Her eyes drifted half shut as one of her fondest recurring fantasies flitted through her mind's eye. In it, she stepped out from behind the potted palm and plucked a fan from a nearby lady's hand with her telekinesis. Her imaginary self fanned her warm cheek with the gaily colored feathers while she discussed the intricacies of levitation with the other scions of the London houses. But she could do none of those things. She felt surrounded by people who either pitied her or were disgusted by her. At least, she imagined it was so, and suppressed a shudder. She was a daughter of Blackstone House, seventh daughter of Minerva Vivian Sortilege, the Lady Blackstone herself, and Grande Dame of the English Council of Witches. Her other 6 sisters were all accomplished witches in their own right. In fact, the Sortilege bloodline of Blackstone House had not produced a Cassus, a woman born into a witch family. In fact, the Sortilege bloodline of Blackstone House had not produced a Cassus, a woman born into a witch family with no talent for magic, in over 300 years. That is, until she, Arabella Helene Sortilege, the humiliation of the Sortilege line, and Blackstone House itself, was born. Someone might mistake you for a jungle cat, peeking out from behind those fronds like that, came a voice from behind her. Arabella jumped, but relaxed when she realized it was her elder sister Rowena, the 5th-born daughter, and the only real friend she had in her constrained little world. Rowena's coloring, rich auburn hair and deep brown eyes, was a near-perfect echo of their mother, right down to her creamy porcelain skin. The deep hunter green of her plush velvet gown suited her perfectly and set off her witch's robes with flair. But then, Rowena could afford to buy her own gowns. She was already drawing her stipend as an active member of the council. "You shouldn't scare people like that, Ro." Arabella laughed as she sipped from her glass. "I don't think your healing spells are up to restarting my heart yet." "How would you know, Ari? I've been studying hard." Rowena jostled her sister's shoulder with her own and began to scrutinize the crowd herself. "Anything interesting?" Arabella shrugged. "Just the usual, as far as I can tell." "You?" Rowena scanned the assembly with eyes half shut and the tip of her tongue tracing her bottom lip. "All the witches are shielding," she sighed, "except Lady Wentworth. But she's in her cups anyway, so just the usual." "Picking up anything from her?" Arabella tried to sound casual. Rowena blushed. "Nothing you want to hear. Very much just the usual." Arabella's mouth thinned out into a hard line.